So hello, everybody. I'm Joan Devine, the Director of Education with Pioneer Network. And I'm here with...
And I'm Carol Dumont Stricker. I'm the project guide with the Greenhouse Project, and we're excited for this opportunity to work together with the team from Groovy Tech to bring you today's webinar, Empowering Elder Wellbeing with Supportive Technology.
And just a few logistics before we get started. First off, all webinar attendees, except for the presenters, are muted, and that's just to minimize the possibility of background noise. It's not that we don't want to hear from you, because in truth, we love hearing from you. And so we encourage you to use either the chat box, or you can use the Q&A, just to put in any comments, questions throughout the presentation. Some of the questions may be held until the end of the webinar, but we won't forget that you're there. You will receive a link to the webinar recording about 24 hours after the webinar ends. So if you miss anything, you'll be able to catch it back up again. I think one of the things that we have all experienced over the past 18 months is a new appreciation for and a reliance on technology. I think that's true for each of us personally, as well as for residents living in our communities. Had we asked each of you before COVID about your thoughts on how residents would accept and use technology, I suspect that the answers would be different from what they are today. We're all using a lot more, and yet I don't know about you, but I tend to have a love-hate relationship with technology, whether it's my computer, an iPad, or my phone. So when you're trying to make it all work, who do you call? When are you looking for the right app to use? Where do you find the answers?
Yeah. So the Greenhouse Project team and Pioneer Network are fortunate to have gotten to know the team at Groovy Tech. So I was having dinner with some elders who were my friends that live at John Knox Village in independent living, and they had gone to a couple tech classes. So one had shared she'd gone to a class about how to stream more channels to her television, and another one went to a class on how to maximize the use of her iPhone. And after that class, she went to the Groovy Tech help desk, and they helped her download the app that she was interested in and made sure that she could use it the way she wanted it. And the other person had set up an appointment for one of the gentlemen that from the Groovy Tech help desk to come up to their apartment and set up a Google Home system for them. So it really seemed like a beautiful way to support meaningful life.
Absolutely. And with that story, Carol, what better way to kick off today's webinar? And I'm so pleased to introduce Mark Storch, one of the phenomenal team members from Groovy Tech, who's going to share some great information, including the answer to where to go and what to do when someone tells you there's an app for that. So welcome, Mark.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. All right. Well, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen so y'all can see the presentation. There we go. All right. So like they were talking, we're really going to be talking about today about how technology can help you improve wellness and continue to grow and flourish with technology. Today's presentation is based around the ICAA's research of wellness. So we're going to be going over physical, emotional, intellectual, social, environmental, and vocational ways that technology can help you with all those aspects of growing and aging into wellness. And like Carol and Joan kind of talked about already, just a brief overview of Groovy Tech. We're dedicated every day to helping people become more comfortable and confident with their technology, independently and on their own terms. Groovy Tech trainers provide one-on-one support for technology training anchored in respect and patience, both in-home and over the phone. So just to go into a little more depth of what each wellness step is, we're going to be going over emotional. So feelings are the lens through which people view the world, and ability to be aware and direct one's feelings helps create balance in life. Physical, living independently is a goal shared by many people. Physical wellness plays a crucial role in achieving that. Intellectual, engaging in creative pursuits and intellectually stimulating activities is a proven approach to keeping minds alert and interested. Social interactions with families, neighbors, and friends chosen peer groups can be valuable for maintaining mental and physical health. Vocational work that utilizes a person's skill while providing personal satisfaction is valuable for society as well as oneself. And then finally, environmental. So first, let's go ahead and start with emotional. And like we were saying, it's the lens through which people view the world. So being aware of your feelings and being able to manage stress and have counseling and go through your like personal histories and stuff like that is a very integral part to wellness and aging into wellness. With that being said, let's start by going through personal histories. An excellent way that technology can help you out with it is Ancestry.com. They officially launched their website back in 1996, and Ancestry.com has become one of the leading forces in genealogy. And they really make it easier to find and catalog your family history. They have access to billions of historical records, millions of family trees, and samples from millions of peoples of Ancestry DNA network. So it makes it a way easier process than trying to track that all down yourself. And apps that can significantly help with stress management are stuff like Headspace, Calm, and then even some games are made to help reduce stress. And all of these can be found on either your Android or iPhone devices. And then to dive a little bit deeper into Headspace, meditation has been shown to help people stress less, focus more, and sleep better. Headspace is teaches you life-changing mindfulness skills in just a few minutes every day. And it offers a way to get into that headspace, if you will, in an easy way that doesn't, it makes heady concepts way easier to understand and doesn't bog you down with the details. Some features of Headspace, sessions can be downloaded to be experienced offline. They have engaging animations to explain concepts. And then they have a sophisticated user-friendly interface with completely customizable content. And then they also do have a free 10-day trial to get into the program. And if you like using Headspace, you don't have to pay for it. You can use their free program, or you can go into one of their premium programs and get more customization options. And recently, over the last couple of years, therapy has become way more normalized and easier to access. Talkspace is one of those leading companies that is trying to make therapy more convenient for everyone. Every user has access to a private, secure room 24/7, so you don't have to wait to share what's on your mind. Also, if you don't feel comfortable speaking over the phone to your therapist or a Zoom call, you can use chat or text. And while you can send questions at any time, you do have to wait for your therapist to be up to respond. So if you're sending questions at 3 a.m. at night, you might have to wait till the next morning for them to respond. And the great thing about Talkspace is it's on your phone, on your computer, wherever you are. And that does come with some kind of more of a hefty price tag than you look at for some apps. Here's kind of a price breakdown of that. But the good thing is some of these plans can be covered by insurance. So that's definitely a thing to check into when you're looking at Talkspace. Sorry, so many spaces. All right, and then physical. So living independently is a goal shared by many people. Physical wellness plays a crucial role in achieving that. And luckily, there's a ton of ways that technology can help make these goals more accessible. I'm just now realizing one of my L's is on the wrong line. Fitness trackers like smartwatches have made tracking your heart rate and keeping track of your exercise every day way easier. Stuff like this Fitbit, or there's even smart rings that can help track your heart rate and stuff like that. and including stuff like the Apple Watch. And the Apple Watch even allows you to monitor fall risks. So if someone is kind of like prone to falling, or you're worried about that, if they do fall, the Apple Watch is able to alert their emergency contacts. And if you're an Android user, don't worry. The Fitbit and the Samsung Watch line also offers the same thing as well. And then an app that we found that would be great for physical wellness is Asana Rebel. It is an app that helps you and encourages you to build a daily routine to take small, attainable steps and actions for your overall goal. And you don't have to worry about buying all this expensive equipment or expensive gym membership, because all the workouts are tailored to you. So you can use only your body weight if you want, or you can use dumbbells and stuff like that as well. It does have a yearly subscription, but it's $58.99 for the year, which is way less expensive than any other gym I've ever seen. And then another kind of forgotten vital point of physical health is a healthy sleeping schedule. And one of the highest rated apps to track this is Sleep Score. Sleep Score is an app that will connect with your smartwatch to even better track and keep track of your sleep activity. And once you use it for a while, the app will start giving you recommendations to make your sleep cycle healthier and better for you.
Mark, as you talk about some of the apps that you were just talking about for the physical, one of the questions that we sometimes hear from people is they're concerned about, if I wear this watch, and I'm a Fitbit user, if I wear this watch, who knows all this information about me? Where is this going, and how can I protect my security? So I think sometimes we find seniors, not just seniors, but are reluctant to use this kind of technology because they don't want their information out everywhere in the world.
Course, yeah.
Are there ways that you can help people, advise them, or?
So a great way that kind of keeps me calm about it is a lot of that same information is on your phone as well. And a lot of the time, stuff with like your heart rate track and stuff like that, it's not actually going past your phone. That's pretty much where the information is stopping. It's not really going to like your phone carrier or any of these apps. As long as your passwords are secure and your users are secure, then you're fine to trust that this phone is taking your heart rate and stuff like that. There's no way that the information can hurt you in the long run.
Well, I think that's important to be able to reassure people, because I will also share with you now, many of our listeners are probably younger than this, but I happen to be 65 and on Medicare, and I get a Fitbit free with my insurance. So I think we're seeing more and more of the goal to use these things for prevention and looking at health and wellness as something that we're doing proactively. So that makes these technologies more accessible to people, but it also means there's more of us that need to figure out how to use them.
Exactly, yeah. And like you were saying, being like proactive about your health is a great way to think about it. And that these technologies really help you be proactive, because you don't have to react when something goes wrong. You can kind of keep track and see what's changing in your physical activity every day.
And Mark, I see in the Q&A box that Lindy said that her partner and her have Fitbits, but they can't see them in the bright sunlight. What brand do you recommend? And then do you think that there's a setting for brightness on those Fitbits?
So sometimes there is a setting on those Fitbits. It depends on which one you have. But if you're having trouble reading like your smartphone or smartwatches in bright sunlight, the Pebble smartwatch line is a great option. They tend to look more just like a normal looking watch, but they'll have a tiny display at the bottom to show you like text messages and activity trackers. And that way, a lot of people like those more too, because they don't look like you're wearing a smartwatch. They just look like you're wearing a normal watch, but then you can kind of show off and be like, hey, look, here's a text message I got. So yeah, I would definitely recommend looking at Pebble watches if you're looking for something that's better in the sunlight. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the intellectual part of our presentation, unless we have any other questions on physical.
Mark, somebody asked, what was the last watch that you had mentioned?
Oh, Pebble. P-E-B-B-L-E. I could put it in the chat as well for everybody. They are a little bit more expensive than like a Fitbit, but they're a full watch as well as on top of a smartwatch as well. So it's a good thing to look at. All right. Well, so on our intellectual, engaging in creative pursuits and stimulating activities are proven to help keep minds smart and alert. There are many ways that technology can help with this. Some of the most prominent ones are online courses like Skillshare. And you can also find games and drawing apps that fill this need as well. So to dive down a little bit into Skillshare, if there's any subjects or any like pursuits that you want to become an expert in, Skillshare probably has a ton of courses covering it. Sorry. Various teachers make their classes. So if you try one out and don't like their teaching style, there's a good chance that there are other options to work on that same subject with another teacher. And although they do put a strong emphasis on creative fields like drawing or photography, courses also cover more mathematical skills like science or scientific subjects, if that's more up your alley. And onto the games. If you have grandchildren or young children, they probably know and love Minecraft. And taking an outside look at it, it can seem a little childish and tedious, but it really is a great way to kind of explore that creativity while in your home, and you don't really have to worry about going outside or anything like that. It's an open world game, and what that means is there's no rules. You can just do whatever you want and build whatever you want. I've seen a lot of people use it as a virtual gardening escape or dream house builder. And the nice thing about Minecraft is you don't have to have a super powerful computer to play it. You can pretty much play it with, you can pretty much play it on whatever computer you already have. And like I was saying, if you do have grandchildren or young children, they would probably have this game as well, and you can play it with them. So it can be a fun bonding experience as well. And then so some good social things to keep in mind as far as technology goes is there's virtual clubs, or there's ways you can also meet new people who have similar interests to you in that group. Facebook was and is still one of the most popular social media platforms out there. And coincidentally, it's one of the easiest ways for people to find people with similar interests to you. A great way to find those people is groups. So for example, if you're really into quilting and you want to find some people with that similar passion, you can look on their Facebook groups and see if you find like a local quilting club or an online quilting club that likes to discuss different things. And don't worry if you have like some more niche interest. Facebook has a lot of groups. One of my favorites is I think it was quilting, but it was a very niche part of quilting that was kind of funny to find for me. I forget the name off the top of my head right now, but there's a ton of groups to look for. So be sure to check out Facebook groups. And if you're going through your online social journey and you get to the point where you want to talk to a person face-to-face instead of over text or over the phone, Google Hangouts is a great option. I know we're on Zoom right now, but Google Hangouts is a good place to look as well. It's a free service for anyone with a Google account or either in a webcam or either a phone or a tablet. And like most video conferencing programs, you can also share your screen for presentations, or you could also share your screens to have movie nights together with friends and stuff like that. And then our last social app that we'll talk about today is Discord. It is an app that allows you to have massive group text with friends or just one-on-one text with similar friends as well. Discord is a text messaging app that you can access on your computer and phone. So if you prefer that bigger screen to type on text, Discord is a great option for that. And the nice thing about Discord is you can make multiple groups inside one group. So if you have a big friend group and you want to kind of narrow down some discussion topics, you can have focused chats to make that a little bit easier for people to keep track of. And then one of the parts of our dimensions that kind of get left behind sometimes, especially as we get older, is vocational. And working that utilizes your skills and provides a personal satisfaction is valuable for society as well as yourself. And so participating in paid or even volunteer work and maintaining or improving those skills is a great way to keep up with your wellness and physical wellness. And some 4 apps that we're going to talk about today that really make a difference in that. Sorry, 3 apps that really make a difference in that is Dropbox, Google Drive, and LinkedIn. These are all apps that make it easier to participate in the business and kind of work side with technology. And Dropbox is one of those great ones that makes it easier to share files and folders. And you can also automate computer backups with it. So if you're worried about losing any storage on your computer or anything like that, Dropbox is a good thing to look into. Even if you're not working, it's a great place to save your data and not lose it.
And Mark, things like Dropbox, is that, I think one of the challenges to Dropbox or Google Drive for many people, and I will count myself in as one of those people, is the challenge with managing it. In terms of how much data can you put in it, where exactly is it going in there? And I'm constantly getting messages that says my Dropbox is full or my Google Drive is full. And if I don't delete something, everything's going to get lost. And I frankly don't know what to do with that sometimes. Do you have any recommendations for people? How do you manage that?
Yeah, so I know it's tedious and boring sometimes. But a good way to keep track of that is going through and deleting files that you don't need anymore off your computer and on your cloud storage like Dropbox or Google Drive. And the nice thing about Dropbox is it makes it very clear when you're getting close to your storage limit. And they also have, like the slide I'm on right now, they do have paid tiers that gets you more storage. And the plus one that I have listed gets you 2 terabytes of storage, which I have personally, and I have never filled up. So if you're looking at Dropbox or something like that, and you have a lot of storage and you want to keep it, I would recommend looking at that plus kind of section, because that gives you more than enough storage to keep everything on there, unless you're dumping like full-size movies on there every day. And as far as where does it live? The nice thing about Google Drive and Dropbox is it's on Google servers or it's on Dropbox servers. So even if your computer dies out and you're not able to recover any memory or any storage from it, Dropbox and Google Drive, their storage is completely separate. So you don't have to worry about losing losing data or anything like that if everything is backed up, because it's off site, and that's kind of where that cloud storage comes from. It's an off-site storage facility that's maintained by server professionals, so it's nothing you have to worry about them going under anytime soon.
Good to know.
All right. And then so Google Apps, a good couple of things to talk about on that is Docs, Sheets, and Slides. If you use Microsoft Office or if you have used Microsoft Office, these are pretty much Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, but entirely free with Google Drive. So if you're looking to get back into writing on documents or making Excel spreadsheets to keep track of bills or whatever like that, and if you're looking to make presentation, Google Slides is a great option. Sheets is a great option for that, and Docs is a great alternative as well. And actually, this presentation was built on slides. So if you're looking for something that it looks like, here you go. And so although Google Drive does have a free version, there is paid versions as well. And like I was saying with Dropbox, the more you pay up, the more storage you get. But the nice thing about Google Drive, if you get the free version, 15 gigabytes of documents and spreadsheets and stuff like that tends to be a good amount, especially if you download some to your computer and then delete it off a drive. You don't have to worry about filling up that storage anytime soon there. And then the last app we'll talk about vocational is LinkedIn. It's a social media made for people to connect with in the business and professional world. So you can put your resume on there if you're looking for a job, or you can also just put your accolades on there and look for people who are in a similar line of work. And you can also use that as a very social connection with people as well. And if you're really serious about LinkedIn and want to use it for networking or posting jobs, there are premium versions, like pretty much every app we talked about today. But if you're just using it as a social network, I would definitely recommend sticking with the free basic option. It gives you more than enough access to everything, especially if you're not posting jobs or actively recruiting people.
Although in our field right now, I think every opportunity to post jobs and actively recruit people is something that is near and dear to people's hearts, because we
For
are
sure.
like pretty much everybody out there. The need for good quality workers is huge, and being creative in how we hire and recruit is a challenge.
It definitely has changed even in the last year for sure. So these apps are like LinkedIn definitely is a great way to look. And if you're looking to post more jobs, I had it in there, but Indeed is a great option as well. But yeah, it's changed wildly in the last couple of years for sure.
And will no doubt change just as wildly in the next year.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So Mark, there's a couple questions out there. So Brenda's asking if there's some concerns that some of the social groups may leave seniors vulnerable to predators.
So that definitely is an option, or is a concern when you're joining social groups online and stuff like that. So I would that's a topic, as well as like making sure you're safe online is a great way to kind of like not get bogged down with security and stuff like that. And a good thing to look for is there are senior centered groups. And sometimes these are monitored and controlled by people who are more aware of security threats and stuff like that, who can help protect you while you're in that group, so you're not giving up any personal information that can be used to guess passwords or anything like that.
So is that also, so I had heard from some friends at John Knox Village that Groovy Tech does some classes. Does Groovy Tech do a class on keeping seniors safe and secure on the internet?
We do. Yeah. I actually just had a class this morning about the best password practices. So that's definitely something we put a huge focus on too. If you want to, we do have a couple things on our website that really go in depth into like how to stay secure and what to do if you do happen to become a victim of a hack or a scam or anything like that.
That's good to know. Karen asks, can you import Word, Excel, and PowerPoint into Google Docs?
You can, yeah. And you can also output or export from Google Docs into Word, PowerPoint, or Excel. It's really nice because you can go either way with it. So if one of your colleagues or one of your friends works with Microsoft Word and you work with Google Docs, you can just send them the Google Docs and they can use it in Word, and they could send you the Word and you can use it in Google Docs. It's super versatile. And then you can also upload PDFs and images to Google Drive. So you don't have to limit yourself just to those 3 options. You can use it as like another cloud storage option like Dropbox.
Great. There's a question about what is available for blind people that want to write their memoirs.
Oh, yeah. So there's a program called Dragon. That is a great option. Dragon allows you to use just your voice to control your computer fully. And it will also give you auditory response to let you know what it's doing and like what it's clicking and what's on screen. Personally, I haven't used it that much, but I know our trainers have helped a couple people set that up on their computers for themselves. So I would definitely look into Dragon as a good option for that.
Wonderful. And Robbie shares that she heard that Google Hangouts is being phased out in 2021 and moved to Google Duo or Google Chat. So maybe it's not worth investing time to learn unless they have changed their plans. What can you tell us about that, Mark?
So they are changing Google Hangouts, but from what I can tell, it's going to be a fairly similar kind of style to what Google Hangouts was with Google Chats. The nice thing is, or I guess not really the nice thing, but the thing with technology and especially Google and their apps is they're kind of constantly on the move and updating and getting into like the latest things. So unfortunately that does happen a lot with their apps. But from what I understand, Google Chats is going to be fairly similar to Google Hangouts, just a couple different changes in the layouts. So I still think it's a good idea to look at.
Another question from Linda is, can you word search Greenhouse Project in Pioneer Network and LinkedIn?
Yeah, you should be able to search for Greenhouse and Pioneer Network, and they'll come up as long as they have a presence on it, which I'm sure they do.
We do.
We do.
Yeah, they'll definitely come up and you can see them. And even if you search other companies too, you can see who works for them or who has them listed as their employer on LinkedIn, which is kind of cool.
And we love to have you come visit our pages, whether it's on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook.
Yes, and like and follow them. We like that. Yes. So another person is asking if can Groovy Tech team members help with Chromebook?
Yeah, we definitely help out with Chromebooks. We help out with Windows, Apple, and Chromebooks, the 3 main computer OSs. We don't really do Linux. We don't have a lot of clients that use Linux, but Chromebooks are definitely something that's in our wheelhouse that we can help you out with.
Wonderful.
I think another product that certainly people oftentimes get frustrated with is, when we have to upgrade that cell phone. And then,
for sure,
it looks a little bit different than the last one did, and we're not quite sure how to put it in. And for right now, you have I would think a huge audience. I happen to be one of them. My family, we have been longtime Sprint users, and all of a sudden got thrust into the world of T-Mobile. Not happy being dropped there. So people that have those frustrations with, how do I make sense of this new device? How do I set it up to work for me? Because sometimes when you go to the store, and I know, Mark, you're quite a bit younger than I am, just looking at you, but you sometimes, and even within our own companies, we get hold of that tech support person who is a wonderful person and very knowledgeable, but doesn't really speak our language. And so it can be very frustrating because there's oftentimes a lot of assumptions of what we already know. So how do you approach that at just Groovy Tech? How do you approach that when someone comes to you and needs help?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely person to person. Everybody knows something. Everybody's knowledge base is something different. And it's just finding those touchstones or landmarks that the person knows, to work off from there. So if you come across like a concept that they don't understand, finding that one point of the concept that they do understand and building out from there is definitely one of our big kind of challenges sometimes. But that's why our Groovy Tech trainers are so awesome and patient, is because we're there to help everybody become more comfortable with all their technology. So it doesn't matter if we have to like repeat those steps or just kind of practice it until it kind of sets in. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah. Well, and I will tell you, I had personal experience with that recently with my Google Drive, and a wonderful tech with Groovy Tech from Nick helped me figure out how to, now this is going to sound crazy, do a mail merge is what I was trying to do. But it turned out the root cause of my problems had nothing to do with mail merge. It had to do with how my work and my personal Gmail accounts were interacting with each other, which as a user, I would never, ever have figured out. So that having someone who is patient and understanding and will talk you through something can be invaluable.
For sure, yeah. And it's just having that second person be there for that frustration sometimes, I feel, is a big help, because it's not just on you, then someone else is trying to fix that problem for you as well.
And we do have, I was gonna say, we have a comment in, Robbie put a comment in the chat about another great place for memoirs and take insights is Memory Well, and they are wonderful. That's a wonderful program that they have for really collecting and sharing life stories.
Awesome.
People.
And then Kathy put in the website for the dragon speech recognition that you recommended for someone that is blind. And then Bruce shared that they're very pleased with their Groovy Tech person at John Knox Village, Jason.
Oh, awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Everybody loves Jason.
Oh, that's wonderful. Angel says, any recommendation for apps for people living with dementia?
Oh, I mean, there's definitely, the nice thing about most apps that are on your phone is you can schedule notifications to pop up, depending on what you're working on. But stuff like Headspace will send you a notification every day to remind you to meditate. And that's kind of nice because it sticks at the top of your phone and is just there until you swipe it away or click it to open. I don't know of any apps in particular that are meant to help people like just day-to-day lives with dementia. But I'm sure there's something out there. Groovy Tech has to research, and we'll get back to you on that one.
And I do think that don't underestimate the ability of someone living with dementia to work with technology. And I think that's one thing that we have learned through this pandemic. Again, we have people that are using technology that are, my mother-in-law was living with dementia, and she has since passed away, but that was our way of communicating with her through COVID, was through FaceTime. And while she did need some support for it, she really took to it better than anyone thought that she would. And even some of these simple apps, to let people try them and see what they're able to do, to give people a chance. Don't assume someone can't. Give them an opportunity to try them. And some of you know someone who is a very good friend of Pioneer Network, Brian LeBlanc, who is living with dementia. And Brian will often tell you that he had, now Maureen, the current love of his life, we need to be careful here, but he'll tell you he has two girlfriends, and they are Alexa and Siri. And they do so much to help him remember and keep on track, and those things that he knows he needs those constant reminders for. So he has shared many times how that technology has been such a blessing for him to have, to allow him to stay independent and continue to do things that he might otherwise have found himself giving up.
Great. And Kathy shared that she Googled apps for people with dementia and found the number listed. And I would also say it's not one size fits all for people living with dementia, because every elder that is living with dementia has different interests and things that are important to them in life. So it's important to know who they are, deeply know them, and then to match that with who that person is. It looks like Karen has her hand up. Karen, did you want to share?
No, I'm sorry. I made a mistake and clicked it by mistake.
Oh, okay.
But it's wonderful hearing from you. Wonderful comment from Leanne. Thank you for the ideas on the vocational development. Her 83-year-old father is having a very hard time accepting that his career is over. She's at a loss as to how to help him find a hobby and reinvent himself to some degree. Well, hoping that some of the suggestions that Mark shared can lead you in a direction that will help your dad. And I'm sure he's not alone. We know identity is a huge issue for elders. And we have another hand up. We have Linda. Linda, would you like to talk? Oops. If you decide you want to, you have permission.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, we can.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I volunteer with a group called DOROT. It's DOROT, all capitals. It's in the New York City area, but it's available internationally and throughout the US. And they offer a University Without Walls program for older adults. And it is a phone program rather than a Zoom program for people who are not comfortable or computer literate. And I was thinking that I would love, and I teach for them, and I was thinking I would love to take the information that I picked up today and offer a 2-part course in all of the apps and the discussion you've been having online.
Oh, awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
I know that the people that I have in, I just finished teaching a course on Leonard Cohen, and the people who are taking these programs, they're smart, they're intelligent, they want to continue to learn, discover, and explore. And I think that this would be a really good way for them to continue to do that. So I'm really glad that I was able to attend this program today, because what you're offering are things that I'm not, LinkedIn, that I'm not familiar with many of the apps. And I really think it would enhance someone who is, in that age group of 70, 80, and 90, which it's the age group I work with. It would just enhance their lives considerably. So thank you to all of you.
Well, you're very welcome. And Mark, could you put your email address in the chat? And
sure,
Linda could, and you can.
Oh yeah,
you can connect.
Let me just give that. And it's going to everyone. So if anybody wants to email me, I might not be able to respond to anybody though.
Yeah, and someone put in the chat that they came in late, and how do they connect, or how do they participate with Groovy Tech?
Oh yeah, for sure. So you can always check us out at groovytech.com. And depending where you are, our number in Colorado is 303-317-2800. You could always call into the office and set up a one-on-one session on here. I'll put both of those in the chat as well for everybody.
And I just put it in wrong, so pay no attention to what I put in. And you'll also get there's also a handout that you should have received with the email today, and that you'll get again tomorrow. So if you lost today's email, you get a second chance. A handout that has a lot of information about Groovy Tech on it.
Awesome. And then if you don't mind, I have 2 more slides to get through, and then we could kind of go fully into a Q&A.
Too late.
Last thing I want to talk about is environmental ways to help technology and help with aging. And living a much greener lifestyle can be definitely helped by smart home devices. Kind of like what we were talking about with Alexa and Siri and stuff like that. There are other ones like Nest that help you control your AC and your lights to make it more environmentally friendly. So you can, when you leave the house, it automatically turns off, so you don't have to worry about it. And then there's also things like, it's pretty much, if you know the clapper, it's pretty much like that, but a little bit more technology. They're called smart outlets, and they allow you to control when your outlets are actually drawing energy from your generator or from wherever you get your electricity from. And this really cuts down in the effect of what's called vampire power, which is when your outlets are drawing electricity when you're not actually using anything in those outlets. So that's okay. Those are all my slides now. So I'll stop the screen share, and then I'll let everybody else ask their questions there.
Yeah. While we're waiting for comments, I'll just say that, Mark, I think as we look at technology and where we're going with it, one of the challenges we certainly have in senior services is with workforce. And so looking at ways to make work better, more enjoyable. And the other piece we are constantly looking at is engagement for our residents. And I have to believe that there's a connection there. All these different apps that you shared and so many others, something as basic as pulling up Google Earth on your phone to go find somebody's childhood home, or the ice cream parlor that everybody loves and always goes to in town. I think there are so many opportunities for technology, simple technologies that we all have, to use, that staff and residents can connect with each other, that instead of telling, and I say this as somebody who's not the manager, but instead of telling that employee to put that cell phone away, why not help them find a way to use that cell phone, that technology, in a meaningful way that supports the residents, that provides memories and good things for them and connection for all of us.
For sure, yeah. And like you were saying about Google Earth, there is definitely that kind of like personal connection that technology can help you find when you're kind of lacking it sometimes.
There's a question from Kendra. She says, for someone without dementia, but stroke victim who can no longer hold an iPad, is there something like Dragon that could help her without needing somebody in the room? She hasn't been able to use a phone.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, so there is stuff like Siri and Alexa that can definitely help out with that. And then Google actually has this new thing where you have a screen with Alexa or with your Google Assistant and stuff like that will help you. You can even be like, hey, I want to call this friend, and that will call it for you. And you could even do voice or video chat with that as well. So if you're looking to call a contact over video chat, but you can't really use your phone that well, that's a great option to look at. And I think that is called the Google Nest system. Is definitely something to check out.
Yeah, and Karen says, this sounds really good. She's wondering about charges to work with Groovy Tech.
Oh yeah, so we do usually charge $150 for 1 hour. But for everybody who joined today, you'll get an hour for $100 if you call in and mention Summer Love as the discount code. And I'll put that in the chat for everybody as well. And you can get an hour for $100. And then we also have other packages as well that might be a better fit for y'all if you want to continue past that first hour.
Yeah, and then Randy said, would love to know if any of you have lists or links to money available for this tech, like grants, subsidies, government or non-government funding.
That I am not sure about. That's a little bit outside of my scope. But I'm sure there is, especially as you look more into like the directly wellness related technologies. I'm sure you can find some grants and stuff like that.
And I would venture to guess we're going to see more and more of those. We're seeing a lot of the tech companies that we work with in long-term care that are providing some wonderful grant opportunities for use. And we all have saw how many iPads were made available to residents throughout COVID. So I think those days, I think that window may well open up for us. The challenge will be obviously finding them and securing them.
Right. And I think for some organizations like John Knox Village, the life plan communities have contracted with Groovy Tech. So they offer the classes in the community and have the help desk available. And that does not have a fee to it for people that are living in that community. But if a person from Groovy Tech goes into somebody's home to help them set up with something, then that has a fee to it. So it's kind of a benefit of living in that community to be able to have that resource of Groovy Tech. And surely it's one of those things that can differentiate the community from the competition.
Absolutely. And I also think it's something that we need to consider as we're talking with families. Again, I come from the role of family member of, we don't know what to get for mom and dad as they're aging. They don't need things anymore. Well, what about getting them, upgrading that app for them to make it a little bit nicer for them, or getting them the tech support that they need on a regular basis to help them out. Those are, I think, wonderful ideas that, we can share with families instead of the traditional answer, get them a bottle of lotion, get them some nice lotion and things that smell good. Why don't we say something more practical? We think your mom could benefit from having an iPad, or from then somebody to help her with that technology when she has it. And not everybody's gonna bite, but I think it's a wonderful, different way to look at how can we help families? How can we give them suggestions of things that truly are meaningful for the residents and can really make a difference in their lives? Let's see, and John said, check out Care Messenger, using the TV and remote control for collaboration, video, chat, and messaging, easy to use, remote control. Woohoo.
Interesting.
Then Randy asked, roughly how much would it cost 100-bed skilled nursing per year to have a contract with Groovy Tech to cover device, service, resident training, etc.?
That is also something that's kind of outside of my realm of knowledge of Groovy Tech. I would definitely recommend calling into the office, and we can put you with the right person to discuss that a little bit further. I just don't want to give you the wrong information on that.
Lots of great ideas and lots of good thinking.
Thanks, Randy.
I think we're all learning to get out of that box and think of new and different ways. And it's wonderful that we're acknowledging how much technology can make a difference for the residents in our homes, in our communities.
And the big thing, like you were saying earlier, Joan, is just empowering those people to use their devices. Because we've definitely seen a lot of people get iPads for Christmas and stuff like that, and then they become paperweights for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely like getting them those devices and making sure they can know how to use them and utilize them for their skills and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I think I will share the story about, it was a gentleman that is frequently on calls with us that is with a CCRC, a continued care retirement community. And he is in independent living. But one of the things that he said that they have as a group, they ended up hiring a student to help them with their techniques, because what they found was, while the community has a fairly elaborate technology department and support, first off, they had the challenge of, they needed someone who could talk more at their level and understand what their issues were. But then there was also the time, because large organizations that have technology departments also have electronic medical records and, so many other technology needs that are kind of prioritized for that department to cover. So they hired their own person. They hired a student. But how wonderful where John Knox saw the same need, and instead of turning it over to their residents to hire that person, they came up with a way to provide that for their residents. So I think that kind of, it's a different way of thinking. It's a different resource, and, not to get political, but it's a different kind of infrastructure that we're all seeing these days. And there's a high demand for that among people, and residents and families want to see that. Astrid, thank you for your comment. We're glad that this was an awesome presentation for you, and best of luck for your mom and for you. Great things to think about. And let's see, Randy asked, are there technologies being integrated into Pioneer Network and greenhouse models? And I see Kathy answered you, greenhouse. That would be more of a greenhouse question. Pioneer Network is not a specific model. So Carol, we'll let you take that one.
Yeah, so what I've seen is that a lot of the Groovy Tech support has been supporting elders that are in the independent living side of the life plan community. Mark, do you know if Jason and John Knox Village has been supporting elders that are living in the greenhouse homes that are on the John Knox Village property?
So as of right now, we are only doing the kiosk sessions. We're not in the greenhouse yet because of the little lockdown they had. But we are definitely looking forward to that. And Jason is going to be on top of that once we are able to.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And I would anticipate that, Carol, I can't speak for a greenhouse or for any of the other models, but I think technology is here to stay, and the drive and the push that we've seen in this last 18 months is here to stay. As so many have said, shame on us if we let those iPads go back in a closet. We need to embrace what we've learned in the last 18 months and grow with it, and not lose it. So I think I truly believe it's here to stay, but that support is going to be critical, because the technology itself isn't going to live if we don't know how to use it.
Exactly.
So Mark, any words of wisdom as we come to a close here today?
Well, I would just fully recommend kind of like vetting these apps for your residents or for your parents or whatever first. We definitely have gone through and like made sure that they are good apps to use. But your residents and your people way better than I can. So I would definitely go home and try these out, and see if they're a good fit. I definitely like Headspace myself. There's just kind of a nice calming feature about being able to use technology to calm down. It seems kind of inverse, but I like it.
There we go. And I do apologize, but there was a question in the Q&As that we missed. And it's just, this is someone who's both an environmental gerontologist and the daughter of a mom in healthcare. The staff don't have to take time for, let's see, I'm trying to figure out the question here. Are you working with resources that connect to ongoing staff training with tech? The typical staff are midlife. Many use mobile and Facebook, FaceTime, but can't set up the iPhone. It's a 101 issue complicated by pride. And she's saying urge more YouTube.
For sure. I mean, there are certain things where like you think it would be second knowledge to some people helping out with tech, but stuff like setting up a full iPhone from scratch from somebody is more of a process than most people think. So it's definitely is taking that time and making sure that the person you're setting it up for understands what you're doing. And that's what really Groovy Tech focuses on, is making sure that like everybody understands what steps we're taking to get there. So it's not just a boop, 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 you're done and you don't know what happened.
I think we are right at the top of the hour. So first off, Thank you so much, Mark, for being with us and for everything that you shared. For everybody who's been on the call, we will be, as we said, sending out a link to the recording. So feel free to share it. The recording will also make its way to both the Pioneer Network and the Greenhouse Project websites. So give us a little bit of time to get it there, and we will get that on there for you. So that you can enjoy it. And while you're on our websites, Carol, I don't know about you, but I'm just going to tell everybody, look on our websites and check out what else we've got going on, because the Greenhouse has some wonderful events happening and trainings, and as does Pioneer Network. So we would love to have you join us to, now that you've learned about technology, come and join us and learn about something else as well. Carol, any parting words of wisdom?
I would share the same thing. We both have podcasts and webinars, so check out the websites. There are, and not only our websites, but Groovy Tech's website as well. There's lots of resources to pull from. Absolutely. So I appreciate everyone joining us today. I hope you have a super remainder of your day. And
Mark, thank you again, and thanks to the whole gang at Groovy Tech.
Thank you. And thank you for having us. It was awesome to be here.